Okay, so it's a couple of hours later. I listened to it all the way through from start to finish. Spoke to some friends on Facebook, things like that. I actually wrote up a review for this Blu-ray, which I'll probably do a video on at some point. And then I've turned the camera on and going to give you my thoughts. And I've also decided to split this video into two parts. So this video is starting quite unexpectedly, but there was another part which I'll label part one, where I kind of talk about the anticipation of me downloading the tracks and everything, getting ready to listen to it. But it went on a bit too long, so this is just going to be my first thoughts from my first listen of Pink Floyd, The Endless River. I think that, you know, Pink Floyd classics like Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, The Wall, they don't hold a candle to this album. This album to me is quite simply the best album I've ever heard in my life. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Of course, it was never going to be a masterpiece. It was never going to be, you know, a towering classic of rock or anything like that. And I think that's why I loved it so much, because I wasn't expecting something monumental. I wasn't expecting something that was going to change my perception on anything. But I did enjoy it even more than I thought I would. And I think it's only going to grow on me as well. Louder Than Words, that song came out a few weeks ago. It was played on the radio and stuff, and was, you know, quickly available online. And you know, I downloaded it straight to my phone, listened to it many times, and it's like a classic to me now. Louder Than Words. Of course, it's not as good as some of Pink Floyd's best tracks, but for me, it was just I don't know, something about it. And I didn't like it at first either. I was a bit iffy. I was like, oh, I don't like those backing vocals. You can't really, I don't know, diss each other on sight. Yeah, it's not really a Pink Floyd lyric, you know. But then I really got into it, and after a few listens, it suddenly became a favourite of mine, and I absolutely love it. And when I got to the end of this album, and it started, and it's the last album on the track on the album, I was like, oh yeah, awesome, sick. Louder Than Words, what a way to end it. And I just, yeah, so we have 4 sides, you know, as I said in the other video. First side, part 1. I'm not going to go through these and give you a track-specific review, because that's not really possible this time. I still need it to sink in. I will be doing a full track-specific review in the future. Probably not in too long either. Once I get the box set, I think that's when I'll do the proper review. But you know, side 1 I really liked. Side 2 I liked a lot. I think side 3 was my favourite. Yeah, I think side 3 is definitely my favourite. I think it might be the longest as well, looking at it. It has the most songs on it, but a lot of the songs would be like a minute and 40 seconds, you know, and then some longer ones, but mainly quite short tracks, which I guess speaks to the source material. Things Left Unsaid, I loved the way that it opened, you know, the first, you know, the little kind of notes at the beginning that end louder than words. There's almost like a circular. It's not circular, but a cycle. A cyclic? What's the word? There's got to be a word for it. I'm probably just forgetting. I'm sure there's. Anyway, there's a circular feeling to it. Let's just go with circular. And I'll leave that whole botch in, because I like to leave stuff like that in. Also, don't have to edit. But yeah, there's a circular feel to it, you know, like almost like The Wall, where it ends how it begins, or it begins how it ends. And then, you know, there's these little interview snippets from I believe the 1972 recordings of the band recording Dark Side of the Moon that was featured in the Live in Pompeii film. Well, kind of a different version of that. I think the director released it in 1971 maybe, or filmed it in 1971, and then he filmed them, you know, recording Dark Side of the Moon, and added that into the film. I'm sure there's 2 versions of that film. Either way, the interview with Richard Wright, I might be wrong, but I'm almost 90% sure that it's from that film, where Richard Wright was saying that there's a lot of things that are unsaid as well. And then also the little clip of Gilmour saying, you know, we row and fight and, you know, sort it out and stuff like that. And then I think it's Nick Mason saying it's the sum is greater than the parts. And you hear those little snippets of things in the first track, and I really like the use of that. And I loved the feel of it. And honestly, there's 2 film scores that this album reminded me of in parts. And one, in Things Left Unsaid, I was reminded very faintly of Vangelis' score of Blade Runner. And then the other one was in, I forget where it was now, actually. I forget where the other one was, but it felt a bit like Philip Glass's Koyaanisqatsi score at times in this one song. Not in a bad derivative way either, just reminded me of that, and I like that style anyway, so it worked for me. It's What We Do, I really liked. I remember that. Ebb and Flow. Again, I'm not going to go through everything, but I liked a lot of it. Skins is one that a lot of people are talking about, and for good reason. It's really kind of the first time in a long while that Nick Mason has been given time to shine, and I think it worked really well. It's definitely him. You know, it's not like a Neil Peart kind of ridiculous kind of 10-minute drum solo where he's basically just like wanking over his drums everywhere, which is, hey, I love Neil Peart, and he's probably one of the best, if not the best drummer in the world, but Nick Mason, he's a lot more reserved and a lot, I don't know, he's a different kind of drummer, you know. He's not as, again, not as ridiculously technically incredible as Neil Peart or as crazy as Keith Moon. I mean, it's, you know, I wouldn't say Nick Mason is a fantastic standout drummer, but he seems to hold things together, and I just liked it. It was cool. It was nice, understated, but kind of cool sounding, and yeah, I really liked it a lot. Is it Anesina? I didn't like the start of that one, but it grew on me as it went on. I mean, it's only 3 minutes long, but you know, I quite liked that one. The Lost Art of Conversation. I was expecting snippets of words to be used in this, but there weren't, and it was really evocative to me. It gave me some imagery in my head. I really quite liked that one. On Noodle Street, I could almost imagine just on the title where it was going to go, but it didn't. It started out promising and then kind of didn't really deliver what I was expecting. But then, you know, Nightlight, and then you go into Alonzi 1, Alonzi 2. I really like those two, and again, sandwiched in between those is the much talked about Autumn '68, which you know, is, I think, really special that they use this. It's a recording of Richard Wright playing on the Royal Albert Hall organ back in 1968. You know, you're talking about a 46-year-old piece of music that was used in this album, and then you got Gilmour kind of playing guitar over it, I guess, in contemporary times. And I've read someone saying that they thought that it was ruined by Gilmour putting guitar over it, but I thought the guitar was put over it in such a way that it worked, and it was below, it seemed like it was below the mix of the actual organ itself, which was very cool. I really enjoyed that, and I forget the actual which season it was, but there's another you know, '68 song, and it's on Atom Heart Mother, and it is Summer '68. There we go. So again, there's a callback to that, and it feels like there's lots of callbacks. I mean, we have the wedding bells at the beginning of Louder Than Words, which is also used at the beginning, I think, of the beginning of Fat Old Son back in Atom Heart Mother, and then of course in the end of Lost for Words and the beginning of High Hopes on the Division Bell, the previous album. So it links in with that, but it also goes back to Atom Heart Mother in a way. And I feel like there were kind of, I think it was It's What We Do. There was a feel of a mix between Welcome to the Machine and a little of Shine On. There's just, again, it seems to kind of evoke tiny bits of their past, but then, you know, not go too deep into it, that kind of thing. We have Talkin' Hawkin', which is basically kind of a sequel to Keep Talking, and I like that one. That was pretty good. But yeah, I think side 3 was the strongest for me, and then the last side, Calling, Eyes to Pearls, Surfacing, and Louder Than Words, I liked a lot. Again, it's a primarily instrumental album. It is very ambient at times, and it depends if you like this kind of music, and I really do. Not that I listen to it much or seek it out, but I do enjoy it once presented with it in this form. And what I really liked about this was that it goes against type in a way. And you can say, well, it's just an album of offcuts, you know, and I was talking to Darren Locke actually, and he was saying it feels like an album of offcuts, and this is an interesting thing he brought up I hadn't thought about. He thought this should have been included, and he'll probably say this in his review, in the Division Bell box set that came out this year, the 20th anniversary one, and that just seemed like such a much more logical choice as well. I have to agree that this could have been just a, you know, a disc of outtakes from the Division Bell, kind of just, you know, polished up a little and put on the Division Bell set as a nice little extra, much like we've had on the other immersion sets with Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here on the Wall, you know, demos and things like that included. And there was also like a track on the Dark Side, I think it was on the Dark Side of the Moon, or maybe the Wish You Were Here immersion set that had an outtake or a track from the infamous Household Objects project, which never happened. So I could see this being used in the Division Bell box set, but I feel like it was the right decision ultimately to release this as its own album, because it does shine a light on Richard Wright's music. It puts emphasis on him whether it's through the music or through you looking into him, saying, oh, this is about Richard Wright, let's see who Richard Wright is, and maybe go and discover more of his work, and maybe think about his music a little more when you're listening to Pink Floyd. But also I think it's a nice way to just say goodbye to the fans. You know, there isn't going to be another one, and you know, I think it's just because the Division Bell just came out and that was it, and then after about 10 years, well, oh, I guess that's it then. But it's nice that they're releasing this kind of swan song in a way, and I think it's fitting. It works within the parameters of what it is, the outtakes, but also, you know, new music has been added, and it's been, you know, the production's very good, I think. It sounds good to me, at least. Again, I'm no expert when it comes to stuff like that, but all sounded very good to me. The 3 extra tracks that are not on the album but are kind of when you buy it, TBS 9 and TBS 14 and Nirvana. I thought Nirvana was interesting. It started off sounding like a garage recording that Gilmour did when he was a teenager or something, in a completely different style of music, but I actually quite liked it. But yeah, overall, I really did love Louder Than Words, and I feel like it's only going to grow on me as well. And thankfully there are a lot of people who are loving it as well. There's people who are trashing it, of course. There's people saying they just don't like it, they don't think it works. There's been fair criticism, there's been unfair criticism, and there's been fair praise and unfair praise. I wouldn't say unfair praise, but I think some people are saying that it is a masterpiece. I definitely wouldn't agree with that by any stretch. You know, it doesn't touch any of their bigger works, but I like that they've gone out with a different kind of album. It's an almost completely instrumental album, and I just love that. I love that fact. I love the way it's old school and separated into sides, you know, side 3, part 4 and all this. I enjoy that as well. I enjoy the fact they released it on vinyl, you know, straight off the gate, and I really envy people who listen to it on vinyl today for the first time. And I can't wait to get the actual set in my hands next week or the week after, and check out all the video content as well. And also I'll be bringing you an unboxing and then probably a full-on review later on. But overall, really great. It was just awesome to listen to that. It's a moment in time that'll never come around again. There'll never be another new Pink Floyd album, and I never thought there would be. So I just feel so lucky that I was here to experience it as a fan, and that I wasn't even later to the game than I already have been. You know, I became a fan of this band on their 40th anniversary, which is crazy. But you know, it's been a great how long would it be? Great 6 years being a fan of this band, and this has just really topped it off. It's been awesome. And anything else I can say in closing? Well, yeah, the one thing I do like about this, again, as I was saying, it goes against type. The only song on this that kind of follows what has been done in, you know, the past 2 Pink Floyd records, with A Momentary Lapse of Reason and The Division Bell. Only one song, Louder Than Words, really fits to that type. You know, we get a verse, chorus, solo, and there's none of that in the instrumental stuff. There's little solo-y bits, there's little, you know, noodling and stuff like that, but there's no real, you know, da 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 da, and then a 3-minute solo. There's none of that on there, which might disappoint some people, that there's no kind of, you know, Comfortably Numb or High Hopes epic guitar solo, whether it be a normal guitar or a slide guitar or however you want to put it. You know, there's no part where I feel like he's showing off, or not that I'm saying that the solos of the past are showing off, but I don't feel like and some might say he wasn't trying hard enough. But, you know, I think that maybe fans of Pink Floyd might focus too much on his solos. I don't know. I just feel like it's not everything to me that is what is Pink Floyd is great. It's not just the solos, although they can be great and very evocative and emotional. I mean, even the Terminal Frost from A Momentary Lapse of Reason, I love that song, and it's instrumental, and that's why I was looking forward to this. I was hoping for more of that, and there is some of that in there, but there's nothing quite as epic as that, and there's nothing quite as, you know, I don't know, but I just like the low-keyness of it. I like it's just there, and it all flows as well. You know, each side is kind of a continuous flow of music, and I really enjoy that, and I really enjoyed listening to it from start to finish. I can definitely see me culling the list, you know, when I listen to this in the years to come, when I decide I want to listen to a bit of this album. I can definitely see there being songs on this that I won't listen to as much as the other ones once I find my familiarity with them. But you know, overall, it was strong for me. I really did enjoy it, and I'm sure any criticism people have will probably be valid, but you know, it's all subjective, and for me, it just it gets almost top marks from me. Very, very, very good. Just an exciting day as a Pink Floyd fan to sit down and listen to it for the first time. and yeah, look forward to enjoying it many more times in the future. Next time you'll see me talking about this album will be when I unbox the actual set itself, which I'm looking forward to, and then I'll review it. So there's still more to come with The Endless River. And yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of the album, if you got it today or if you're going to get it, if you've heard it. Let me know your thoughts, definitely, and I'll see you with the next one.